Today on CityCast Chicago, March is finally here, which means it's time to head to the voting booth. They about to dye the river green, but most importantly, it's almost spring. So let's get this month started with our guide to March. It's Monday, March 2nd. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. I am extremely blessed today. We've got two amazing guests in the building with us. Our very own newsletter editor, Emmy Mack, is here. Good to see you, Emmy.
Good to see you guys, too. Hey, Chicago.
Gee, you getting a jump on it. Is the hair green already?
I figured we're doing the March episode. Like, how could I not?
We've also got one of my absolute favorite Chicago creators in the building, Paige Serena. It's good to have you back, Paige.
Hey, what's up? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Well, Emmy, since you already got the hair green, let's jump into it with you. What is one thing you are really looking forward to this month?
Well, as you can imagine, I am looking forward to St. Patrick's Day, but something I'm looking forward to even sooner tonight, March 2nd, is the free show at the Empty Bottle. Tonight, Winifred RT is playing, and she's one of my favorite local musicians. She's a singer-songwriter from Milwaukee, and her vibe is kind of like a Gen Z Lisa Loeb. I'm excited to see her tonight. She's playing with the Part-Timers and Toadvine.
Make sure y'all are subscribed to our daily newsletter, but also make sure you're following our events calendar. When almost every Monday, you can expect for us to drop a link to Empty Bottle's Free Monday show. It's one of our favorites across the entire CityCast Chicago team. Paige, over to you. What's something you're really excited for this month?
I'm excited for the Henry Matisse, a new exhibit at the Art Institute, and I think it's going to be really nice. So I need to get over to the Art Institute. I think I missed all of the free days in February, but there's a lot of good art stuff going on. There's also a Paris in Black exhibit that's coming to the Black History Museum. And then there's also some free days, I think, at the Shed on Wednesdays, I think if you're an Illinois resident. So I feel like there's some good art stuff going on this month.
Now, you just put me on. I try to stay up on what's coming to the city, but Matisse's Jazz Rhythms in Color opens March 7th through June 1st for non-members. Oh my God. I'm looking at some of the pieces. The Circus, 1947, The Horse, the Rider, and the Clown. I went to see an exhibit at the Art Institute back in January. So it's been a couple of months now, but I need to get back over there.
And that's the thing about it. I went to the Art Institute, I think it was last year, for the Projecta Black Planet exhibit they had going on. And I think I have to go to the Art Institute like once every other month because there's always so much new that's coming in. You think you went and you saw it, but I just think they do such a good job. It's honestly so underrated, even though it's one of the biggest attractions, I think.
I went back in January, right before the Elizabeth Catlett exhibition went off, and that amazing sculpting, printmaking, the paintings, fantastic. And so they never miss. I'm looking forward to Matisse's Jazz. I'm gonna round us out. I have been on this alliteration kick the first 2 months of the year when it comes to these guides. January was puppets and playoffs. February was storytelling and singing. And March is basketball and birthdays. I'm gonna start with birthdays. Chicago celebrates its 189th birthday on Wednesday. My mama celebrating her 55th birthday on March 27th. And while she's going to be out of town seeing Fantasia in DC with my little sister, I'm excited for when she gets back here so I could take her to the Goodman Theater showing of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This is legendary playwright August Wilson's second play written in the early 80s and is set in a 1927 Chicago recording studio. Some people might have seen the Netflix movie where the lead roles of Ma Rainey and Levy were played by Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman. That was his final role before he passed. But this play is going to be starring Chicago actors Ife Butler. Oh, I love her so much. I've seen her last 2 or 3 plays, and Al Jalil McGee. And then there's basketball. I said it last week, but Unrivaled, the women's basketball 3-on-3 basketball league, their semifinals are tonight, finals on Wednesday. We got the state tournament for the girls basketball teams going down. The finals are this weekend. The boys finals are next weekend. Then over at the United Center, you got the Big Ten men's tournament. The Bulls got games against the Thunder, Bucks, and Cavs this year, which I do expect them to get spanked at least in most of those games. And then March Madness is going down with the men's Midwest Regional Championships in Chicago at the end of the month. And so again, birthdays and basketball, that's where my attention is going to be all March long.
Yeah, and Chicago is having its own birthday party on March 4th. It's turning 189, and there's going to be an event at McKinley Park for that.
Mm-hmm. Also, if you're looking for maybe just a little more local basketball, the 312 Celebrity Basketball Tournament is going down this weekend in Inglewood at Ogden Park. So again, make sure you're following along with our events calendar. Every month, we love to give people some tips on how to best manage Chicago this month. And for me, I like to think March is like the official kickoff to Chicago parade season. Like it lasts all year long, but as you can imagine, coming out of the winter, they really start to pick up. We had the Chinatown Lunar New Year parade yesterday. You got the Chicago St. Patrick's Day parade going down this month, the Southside Irish St. Patrick's Day parade, and then some other neighborhood parades going on. So I say if you planning on being outside starting this month, it might really be to your benefit to just do an extra check to see, is there a parade going down in my neighborhood? Is there a parade going down in the neighborhood I'm trying to visit outside of the restaurant I want to go to or the movie theater I'm trying to stop by? It's just another way to kind of do a little bit of extra planning before you go outside as springtime is here. Emmy, over to you. What is your tip for people?
My tip is if you want to have a fun St. Patrick's Day, pick up green hairspray at Sally's. Just play around with it. It's so easy to put on. Strangely, the color goes with everything. And last year, I bought it that morning, put it on myself, sprayed it on my friends. And like, we didn't even have to have a plan because once you sprayed your hair green, like the city was yours.
I was going to say, the world's your oyster at that point.
Everywhere we went, people were nice to us. People were buying us things. I kept a second bottle in a Ziploc in my purse. So I was spraying other people as we went out and around all day. And I think that was one of my most successful St. Patrick's Days yet. Today I'm just wearing a wig, but I'll do the spray on March 14th. Last year we ended up at the Wolfhound in Avondale, and they were having a really fun just kind of not even a party officially, but just everyone was having a great time there on St. Patrick's Day. Might stop there again. I remember their bangers and mash looked really good, and they ran out just before I could order, so I might have to go back. Reminder that these street and bar and party events are going to be mostly happening March 14th, whereas St. Patrick's Day is actually March 17th. Yeah, growing up, St. Patrick's Day was one of the most fun days of the year when I was in high school in Chicago. So not all these stories are allowed to be shared on air, but like we were a destructive crew. And this isn't even just my friends. Like we would wake up at 8 a.m, like the only day of the year we all willingly woke up early. And like we were like en masse going downtown. Like I was with people that were friends of friends of friends of friends, like local celebrities in my life were walking past, and we were, storming CVS's, kissing in parking garages, peeing on Michigan Avenue, pummeling gazebos, mounting turnstiles. I'm just being honest. So I'm actually...
It sounds like the videos of Justin Bieber when he first blew up.
It was like, when I think about those St. Patrick's Days in high school, like nothing we did was okay. It was like Rumspringa, just like this one day every year. I was grounded for it once, and like I'm still pissed about it. So.
Access Contemporary Music's Sound of Silent Film Festival is now in its 21st year. And I already know what you're thinking. Kobe, this an audio medium, and that sound a bit like an oxymoron. Doesn't a silent film festival just sound like this? But here's the thing. This festival features newly composed musical scores performed live, so it's movies and a concert. These silent films were selected from more than 100 submissions to an international call, and they span comedy, drama, experimental, and beyond. Plus, they short. Each one is only about 2 to 15 minutes long. And to top it all off, the festival is at none other than the Music Box Theater, one of my favorite spots in the city and a beautiful setting for this kind of event. The Sound of Silent Film Festival is happening Wednesday, April 8th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are available at acmusic.org. Paige, I feel like one of the last times we had you on, you were actually preparing your friends to actually go do St. Patrick's Day. It's something that some Chicagoans avoid. They stay inside because they know high school Emmy gonna be out there going wild. But the last time we talked, you were excited to get outside. How did that go? And are you looking forward to it this year?
Yeah. So I think I actually have two tips kind of for March. One is because it's daylight savings, I think for me, at least, the year starting as soon as the sun's going down a little bit later. Like, I'm like, okay, we're back outside. We're ready. The bad part, though, is because we're in Chicago, the March weather, like we already got our first fake spring. And I feel like March is when people realize, like, we still have, a ways to go before we're ready for the summer. So I think my
Don't
first
bring me
tip,
down again. Don't bring me down.
but I think the tip is that you need to like find your own fun in March. Like you have to kind of make the most of it because you will start to go a little bit crazy when you're thinking like, okay, it's March, it should be spring, I should be outside, but the weather's not always matching that. So you have to find your own fun. But that kind of leads into the second tip, which goes back to St. Patrick's Day, because I feel like I'm actually not the biggest holiday or event person. So I think there's like so much pressure that surrounds like things like New Year's Eve to the point, and like Halloween to the point where I barely even want to participate. But for some reason, my exception is with St. Patrick's Day. I love St. Patrick's Day.
It's so much more low stakes. It's like go outside and get
low
turned.
Stakes. You can wake up at 8, have a little pregame with your friends. It's the one day out of the year, like Emmy said, you can wake up early and there's no problem. We're taking shots of green whatever at 7:30, 8 a.m. We're going to the river. It's just some things to me, I'm like, yes, it's very basic, it's popular, but it is so much fun. I love going to the river. I think my friend we started at like 8 or 9 last year and we got home at like 2 a.m. Like we had a full day and we have not done that since. And we're like, that's the one day that we can do it. I'm actually going to be on a work trip in California for St. Patrick's Day. And I'm still debating if I'm going to come home for that weekend because I just enjoy it so much.
You could take the red eye just to put yourself into a hangover.
I don't think there's any age for St. Patrick's Day. Started in high school. I'll probably still go, until I'm 40. So yeah.
Hell yeah.
I think y'all both make a very good point in terms of one of those first big holidays of the year where everybody's outside. And I agree. New Year's Eve, the pressure is for a lot of people, similar to like Valentine's Day, is like, is you coupled up? Are we doing highbrow New Year's Eve or is we hitting a house party? Christmas, I ain't gonna lie, from Halloween to Christmas, I'm just dreading the check. Like I don't want to pay for all of these things, but I will. St. Patrick's Day, I will say, last time I went out with the homies, we had some tickets. I think we did a bar crawl South Loop. Like some of the places we had tickets for, some of the places we didn't, and yet we was just on the sidewalk having a damn good time. Some of us had the least amount of green on as possible. Maybe a do-rag was green. That's all that we had on. I do appreciate that it is low stakes, pretty easy to participate. And I will say, the idea that everything goes, I'm in my 30s, drinking any time of the day is likely to screw me. Only one day of the year where drinking around like 8:30, 9:30 is acceptable. Is acceptable. I will say, was done by 3, 4 o'clock though. People who could take it from 8 a.m. to midnight. Oh, y'all, you a different. I'm looking at you. I mean, you a different breed of Chicagoan.
I will finish late on Sunday morning for sure.
All right.
But then you're done for the year. You hit your quota.
No, that's every Saturday for me.
So what are the locations people should be thinking about? Like what neighborhoods can they expect? Even if they don't have tickets, if they just show up, the crowd will be there.
So I had mentioned the Wolfhound was really fun last year, and we actually walked there because we were at Chief O'Neill's, and it was just so chaotic. But that was super kid-friendly. It had live music and Irish dancers and stuff. So if you can handle pretty much the most intense, sweaty crowd imaginable at 11 in the morning, like go for it. But yeah, the Wolfhound was good.
And then that same day on St. Patrick's Day, or the 14th, when we celebrate St. Patrick's Day, at Blind Barber, there's an event being put on by Motion Spaces. And this one caught my attention because my favorite DJ Cashier, is going to be there.
Joe, I literally just celebrated this, or I literally just shared this event this morning with somebody. Because Hillary Banks gonna be there.
Yes.
Simi, Cash Air. Yes.
Amazing. I think you can just walk outside and find some fun. And that's what I like about it so much, because not every city does St. Patrick's Day like that, So last year we were in South Loop. I think, to your point, I think some of us had bar crawl tickets and then some of us didn't. We were outside on the sidewalk. I might have hit the splits. Like, it was a lot going on. And then at night, we were in the West Loop area. We went to Expat, which, if you know, if you've been to Expat, it's like the entire city of Chicago is there. But then, of course,
they really having a moment this last year. They found they speed. I was in there on Saturday.
My moment is done, but yeah, it's right. It's going though. I'm just like, I can't go somewhere where you can't even walk 3 feet without seeing somebody. I'm like, it's
a high school reunion. Every time you go in there, I love it so far, but that's only because everybody I've run into, I love. I haven't run into no enemies yet.
Yeah, I actually had such a bad experience. Not even bad. Like, I had a fun, but just ran into too many people last St. Patrick's Day. So that was actually my retirement. But had a ball nonetheless. So just the entire city is going to be so much fun. It's a playground on St. Patrick's Day.
I hate how small this big ass city is. But yeah,
crazy.
Obviously there are going to be parades from Beverly to downtown. I know Green Day is going down at Royal Palms and Wicker Park. Obviously from Wrigley to South Loop to the West Loop, people are going to be outside. But again, honestly, if there's a neighborhood bar that you love, they might be doing something. And so just go ahead and look on people's Instagram, look on people's websites.
Last year, we were bored at some bar we were at in Wicker Park. I don't remember. And then we just saw a house party happening and walked in. And that was honestly really fun, too.
I love Chicago.
Hi, I'm David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, a podcast network that includes this show you're listening to, and also 12 other CityCasts in 12 other cities. And each one knows their city as well as your local team knows yours. So isn't it time we connected them? Don't you want to know how they're tackling their bike lane problems and housing challenges and sidewalk dog poop crises? That's why I'm hosting a new podcast called Your City Could Be Better. Because it could be. Every week, I'll chat with a different host in our CityCast network about what their cities are doing right and wrong, the weird things they're trying, and the surprising successes, so that we can all learn how to make our cities a little bit better. Listen to Your City Could Be Better on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
So obviously, we have spent most of this time talking about things we are excited for. One thing I am going to be paying attention to a lot this month that I imagine some people listening to may not, right? It ain't the thing that got them most giddy this month. Of course, I'm talking about primary day, right? Most of us are going to go to the booth on March 17th. I'm sure a lot of us are voting early, have already voted early. But given the fact that everything from the governor's race for U.S. Senate, Congress, water reclamation, Cook County Board Assessor, Cook County Board President, so many judges, right? We've talked about this a lot over the last 6 weeks, but as we get closer and closer, I'm both excited to get this over with, but I'm really interested to see what some of these early results are, given that primary for a lot of these races will decide who the ultimate candidate will be in a lot of these races, especially for like Congress, for example. And so I want to kind of open the floor. Are there any questions that y'all have going into Election Day that you haven't gotten answered yet? Emmy, I'll start with you.
Yeah. So similarly, I'm really curious how this is all going to shake out this month. And I know that there are 3 front runners that word keeps getting tossed around in the race for Dick Durbin's seat. Can you kind of lay out why they're considered the front runners and who they are again, in case people forgot?
No, that's good. These people you have probably seen on your TV stations amongst the most of any candidates this cycle. And those front runners to replace Dick Durbin, the longtime Illinois senator, are current Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, current U.S. Representative in the 8th District, Raja Krishnamurthy, and current Representative in the 2nd District, Robin Kelly. I think the reason that they are considered front runners is, one, they got the bread. Raja Krishnamurthy, for example, was known even before Durbin announced to have millions in waiting for a potential Senate campaign. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, of course, due to being the running mate of Governor J.B. Pritzker, secured a lot of money from the governor's camp and other donors. Same with U.S. Representative Robin Kelly, leading a historically significant Black district. She has been somebody over the last decade who has been well positioned to run for a higher office. And again, they got that name recognition. They're actually elected officials who have had some type of experience in local and statewide and even federal office. Some of the other challengers, right? They just don't have that elected experience. Is that always important if you're running for office? No. When you're talking about a statewide race, that's really going to matter. That name recognition, that election experience, and of course, we know, regardless of what you're running for, it's increasingly expensive to run for office, all the way down to our judicial races, which are seeing some record-breaking campaign financing, and so that's probably why they're at the top. You can look into some of the things that make them different. They've all been in some debates with one another, a few debates over the last few months. So you could watch those to really get a good sense of what separates them. It's not a ton, if we're being honest. A lot of their messaging is starting to solidify and consolidate, and there isn't a ton of difference that separates them, but there are some nuances there for sure.
Yeah, aside from the race for Durbin seat, I feel like the 9th district race to replace the retiring Rep. Jan Schakowsky is pretty much the main thing I'm hearing about, even amongst my friends talking about the election. So while that's getting a lot of media attention, can you kind of remind us what other seats are up for grabs?
For sure. I think that's really important because you still live in Albany Park, is that right? Or is it?
I live in Logan Square now, but honestly, most of my friends grew up in Rogers Park because that's where I went to grade school. So yeah, and Jan Schakowsky, we met her in 6th grade, so we're all pretty tapped into what's happening with her. She sponsored a bill that our 6th grade class wrote, and then they actually made it a law. It was really awesome.
But I can understand, for someone like you who went to grade school in Rogers Park, have a lot of friends on the far north side. All of that is a part of the 9th district, including some northern suburbs. But some of the other races that are going to be potentially hotly contested are those 2 races where their representative is running for Senate. So the 2nd district and the 8th district. In my opinion, I think a district that maybe isn't getting a ton of citywide attention, but really should be, is the 7th district. Not only because, like Jan Schakowsky or Dick Durbin, there's also a longtime political leader retiring in Danny Davis. And there are a lot of contenders in this race as well. It's packed out with some names people may recognize, like Illinois State Rep. LaShawn Ford, Treasurer Melissa Conyers-Irvin, local organizer Kina Collins, who has run in a few of the previous primaries for this seat. But I think when you start to pin down what is in the 7th district, the fact that it stretches from the south side of the city to the west side out into the western suburbs, the fact that it includes some of the most expensive pieces of real estate in the city, like the Loop and Museum Campus and the United Center. I think one of the only reasons it is being underlooked and potentially disrespected is because it is a primarily Black district. A lot of the candidates have really grassroots connection, which means if you live in the 7th, this race is going on. You've heard some of these candidates' names. You done probably seen Danny Davis live and in person at some point in your life. But I don't think enough people city and statewide put the respect on the 7th district. And I am interested to see with new leadership if it takes on a whole new momentum in sort of the next era.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious how that race and honestly all of the representative races shake out, because unlike with the Senate races, the smaller seeming candidates, the grassroots, less money candidates actually have a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think more likely than not across a ton of these races, the name recognition is going to end up playing the biggest factor. I think when you have so many candidates in races, the average Chicagoan who already don't got a ton of time to take off to go to the booth and definitely don't have a ton of free time to be looking and researching every single name and every single race. I think that name recognition, in addition to where people are positioned on the ballot, will have a big impact. And I also think, unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of people stay home during the primary races. They are never, the turnout is never as large as you'll see in the general for a bunch of reasons. But I do think there's a bit of an overwhelming nature to the primary and the ballot and what it means to get informed, which is why we really like to celebrate the people in Chicago who are helping us to make sense of all of this, right? We love the voter guides that come out of places like the Sun-Times and WBEZ and WTTW. They typically have these more established questionnaires that candidates will respond to. Our friends over at Injustice Watch, we've given a lot of love to their judicial guide, which they work extremely hard on year in and year out. You've got indie guides like Chicago Votes, which often is focused on bringing young voters into election season. You've got Girl, I Guess, which is a progressive, a leftist voter guide, which I have taken into the booth with me time and time again. And so
me too.
Yeah, I'd be sitting in there. You could bring your voter guide into the booth with you, whether that's your phone or even a sample ballot. And so don't be afraid to do the work ahead of time. I know I just said how difficult it can be to prepare, but I will say it's real stressful to do all of that standing up inside of a voter booth. So even if the morning of, if you can run through a sample ballot or, write down some of the candidates from your voter guide, it'll help you, especially if you have a more crowded polling place.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to pick between judges you've never heard of, honestly.
Boy.
Let's be real.
I do think that it was important that you mentioned that early voting is an option. So is that open now? Are people able to go now?
Yes, early voting is available now. Today, it opens in all 50 wards, which means you no longer have to travel downtown for the super site. Mail-in ballots are available as well. Your last day to apply for a mail-in ballot is March 12th. You don't want to have your ballot at the whim of USPS. And so all experts say you can, apply to get a mail-in ballot as late as March 12th, but you want to be getting that ballot back as soon as possible. And then remember, Illinois does have same-day voter registration, which I have found myself having to take part in, thinking I was registered, was like, oh, I'm going to be fine. I vote here every year. Showed up and it was like, nah, you got to go through the process again. And so if you are someone who doesn't know if you're registered to vote and is just going to show up day of, you are still going to be able to register and to vote on that day. And so good question about the early voting.
And remind your friends and family who might not be in Chicago. Like I have some snowbird relatives. I texted them today about requesting a ballot and it's just helpful.
We like to end every one of our guides with the thing we are most looking forward to eating and drinking this month. Emmy, we're going to start with you. What's that for you?
So because it's St. Patrick's Day, but also I eat this kind of food year round, but I will be going down to Public House in Bridgeport for bangers and mash. And they also have really good meat pies. And they also have life-changing sticky toffee pudding. Like, I didn't know that that's my favorite dessert. And then I discovered that recently at Public House. So it's the season. And then I feel like I've been talking about this nonstop, but one more time, pepper and egg sandwich season is now, people. You will not be able to get them after Easter, except
Can you describe it for people who are not familiar?
Yeah. So I went on a hunt to see how many places in Chicago are still serving up pepper and egg sandwiches. It is pretty simple as it sounds. It's usually green peppers and eggs, usually kind of like how they are in Italian beef, those sauce, gravy soaked peppers on the eggs, and then usually just on French bread. And because people don't eat meat on Fridays during Lent, they're kind of a Chicago Italian tradition. The tradition has gone down quite a bit over the years. Fiore's, which was one of the most famous pepper and egg delis, closed in 2021. But if you go on our CityCast Chicago website, I have created a pretty long master list by popping into delis and also calling a million hot dog stands, beef stands, seeing who's still doing this for Lent. Some places do offer it year round, and I've noted that, including D'Amato's where I went. They don't do the traditional. They have the peppers chopped up in with the egg, so beware of that. But some places will only do it on Fridays, and some are doing it all Lent long. So
come on now. Man, that just got me thinking. I was like, I really need to get some fried fish or some fried shrimp this month.
Some readers wrote in with new additions that I had missed of where they get their pepper and egg sandwiches. So the article has been updated, so you should check it out. I had added Rico Benes. I didn't realize they do it year round. Beverly Bakery year round. And then Parky's on Harlem is doing it just for Lent every day.
Love that. Paige, over to you. What is something you are looking forward to eating or drinking this month?
So nothing specific, but they do have Northside Restaurant Week that has started already, and it'll go through the week till the 8th. And it features restaurants from Albany Park, Irving Park, Edgewater, Lincoln Square, Ravenswood, North Center, and Rogers Park. So to me, so many good restaurants. I think some of them do different deals than they had during actual Chicago Restaurant Week, which you hear sometimes is not always the best deal. So I think sometimes you may get a better deal in some of the smaller, more neighborhood put on Restaurant Week. So that's something to look forward to.
Is there a spot on their list that you want to put us on, a restaurant you've been to that you absolutely love?
So when I was looking through, I did see that Boonies is doing one, and I don't think that they were a part of the regular Restaurant Week. And so they have a few different deals. They have one menu that's $82 or $81 for two people. That's three different courses, and I think that's a good deal because you just split it in half. And then the second one is $70 for two people and also three courses. So it gives you a few different options, and you're definitely under the regular Restaurant Week price. I think that starts at $45. So if you were to do like menu 2, for example, $35 a piece is not a bad deal.
100%. I want to check out Chez Adelaide. They got a 3-course menu. You could pick between Brussels sprouts and beef dumplings. I'm going to grab that fish and plantains. And then they got the rum cake. And that's up between like North Park and Budlong Woods. And so I love a good restaurant week. We went right from Chicago Restaurant Week into Black Restaurant Week, now into Northside Restaurant Week. And so I love any excuse to go take on a deal. I am going to close this out. There are 2 things I'm excited to eat this month. One is I want to try to brunch at Mahari at Hyde Park. Any person who I know who has been there in the last few months, they speak extremely high of it. They got a French toast flambe that sound good. They got naan cakes, but they spell it like panan cakes, so pancakes. They've also got a suya steak and eggs, which looks really good. And then one other place I want to get back to, which, I'm gonna be real, I do not go here often, and mostly because I stereotype them, and that's Manny's. I mostly think of Manny's as a place that old white people go to, like old white dudes. And I'm not gonna lie, I went into Manny's last month. It wasn't nothing but old white people in there who look like they have been in Chicago for a very, very, very long time. But y'all, I grabbed one of them brisket sandwiches.
Good.
So good.
That damn thing was smacking. So it's in walking distance now. So I gotta find a reason to go back over there and grab one of them brisket sandwiches. I will say these places that get a lot of attention in Chicago, right? Manny's is often looked like as the place that politicians gotta go on primary day to like shake hands and kiss babies and like do the old Chicago way dance. But it'd be a reason some of these places is so highly regarded and highly favored by the Lord, because oh my God.
And I actually saw Caleb Williams was over there the other day. And someone told me that they went after I posted about, because I just recently got into it thinking that the same thing as you. I posted about it and someone was like, yeah, I went there and saw Lord Lightfoot. So
yeah, they be in there, G.
They be in there for sure. So
it looked, everyone in there looked like that was the only thing they had to do today. But It was still a ton of families in the middle of the day. It was, again, I understood exactly why they get the respect they do. So I want to give another huge thank you to our guest today, our very own newsletter editor, Emmy Mack. Always good to have you on.
Thanks. Nice to talk to both of you guys.
And again, one of my favorite creators, Paige Serena. We appreciate you making time.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
Now, we can't wrap things up without some good news. The winter edition of Talia Hall's Free for All is back this Saturday, starting at 4:30. You can stroll through the venue and soak in live music, catch an incredible drag show, shop at the Eyeball Market, join in on some bingo fun, or play crossword puzzles for prizes, or you could participate and interact with a collaborative painting. Again, the event is going down this Saturday at 4:30. It's free, but you do need to RSVP, and all on-site donations will benefit the Pilsen Food Pantry. I'm going to drop a link for you in the show notes. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace.